talk with Kietta. I'm sitting here talking to Siohvaughn Wade, Dewayne Wade's ex-wife, and I do realize you have your own identity, so I'm just gonna call you Siohvaughn, okay?
Thank you.
You know, so I'm reverting back to the conversation we just had a minute ago before we went to break, and you were saying how you were cut off financially from Dewayne. You didn't even have enough money to pay for food at Publix for your children. Yet I am sitting here looking at an order. This is an order that I'm looking at right here. In 2008, it was ordered that the petitioner, his office, his officers, agents, employees, and attorneys are hereby enjoined and restrained, which means they cannot, okay, by court order, from selling, assigning, transferring, pledging, mortgaging, encumbering, squandering, dissipating, withdrawing, or otherwise dealing with any transactions, real estate, or any other property or assets in his possession or under his control until further order of this court. Okay? You remember this order?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In the same order, it also awards you, says from the funds remaining after the payments and disbursements that was described in the previous paragraph. It states that the balance shall be dispersed 75% of Dewayne's salary to himself and 25% to you, what's left over. So without prejudice, so I'm trying to figure out why you were broke.
Because Mr. Wade didn't comply with that order. I understand what the order said I was entitled to and the court ordered him to do, but he didn't comply with that order.
So he was never held in contempt?
No, he was not. I mean, we filed motions addressing that issue and asking the court to enforce that order multiple times, at least 5 times. But, you know, nothing was ever done about it. There was actually a judge, Judge Fernandez, that herself just orally vacated that injunction order. That's that order that awarded me some sort of money for myself to be able to live.
Well, I'm sitting here also looking at an order where it's the 5th time that you all are asking to rule to show cause for indirect civil contempt. I don't understand. I'm just asking. I'm sorry. And this is nothing directed towards, you know, Dewayne, you know, personally, but I'm asking. From my understanding, if you're held in contempt of court and you blatantly disregard what the court orders, you know, you could be prosecuted. So have you guys not asked for that? And when I say you guys, I'm sorry, have your attorneys not asked for that? Have they not presented this to the court effectively? Why is it that he's in contempt, yet nothing has happened to him criminally? Because that's a crime to blatantly disrespect or to disregard what the court has ordered.
It has been filed. It's been filed numerous times, and it hasn't just been a complaint on its face. There was plenty of attachments, affidavits. There was proof attached to those motions stating the funds that I lacked. You know, there were bank statements of Mr. Wade showing millions of dollars that he had, yet not paying the 25%. There was proof of all of that. I had gotten a phone call from the car company that I use who told me, Ms. Wade, if there's another missed payment, my car was going up for repossession. There was evidence as to all of that, but nothing was done.
Well, did you know in May of 2008, I'm just wondering, the same time, the same year that you were saying that you couldn't use your card, your bank card to buy food, he bought his mother a nearly $2 million church. Now, you all were still legally married, so that was considered marital assets. Did you know about that transaction?
No, I didn't. I found out about it afterward, that he purchased the building for her and even the price of the building.
In May of 2010, you were actually arrested for failure to appear in court. Can you explain why you were arrested and what happened and why didn't you show up for court?
I actually was there. I was at a coffee shop. There's a corner bakery right outside of the Daily Center. And I was there waiting on my attorney. But my attorney at that time, Marsha Fisher, was actually in a car accident on the Stevenson Expressway, and her car was totaled. And I was told that, you know, she had to be taken to the doctor or the hospital or something like that. She had to seek medical attention, and that the court hearing would be rescheduled. I found out later that the court hearing actually still went forward, even though she'd been in a car accident where her car was totaled and she needed medical attention. And I didn't know that it was going for, because at that time, 2 women showed up at my house from DCFS and told me that yet another therapist had reported Mr. Wade for child abuse. And they came unannounced. They told me that they had to do it anonymously to not give me a heads up. And they were at my house and wanted to do an interview. And so I was conducting an interview with DCFS after, the therapist reported Mr. Wade, and I had no idea that all that was going on.
So you were actually at the courthouse.
I
with the
was.
intention to go. Your attorney was actually in a car accident on her way to the courthouse to be with you, to represent you. So you were under an impression the court date was changed because you didn't have any representation, that she couldn't be there because of a car accident.
Yes.
You left and you had no idea that the court hearing was still going on.
I had absolutely no idea whatsoever. My understanding was my attorney needed medical attention and she was going to get it, and she was in a pretty bad car accident.
Well, do you read the tabloids and the blogs and the papers?
I try not to.
Well, do you really, since you try not to, let me tell you, if you're okay with it, I'm just going to keep it 100 with you.
Okay.
You know, they paint you as pretty much crazy, erratic. They paint you as a person that's mentally unstable.
We have another opinion yet by another man. And what's your opinion about Dewayne Wade and Siohvaughn court case?
That man deserved to have his kids.
And why would you say that?
There's something wrong with his wife.
Because of what?
She's sickly in the head.
Well, what make you think she's sick in the head?
Man, she was in court. Everybody saw that on the news and in the newspaper. She take medicine and she mustn't take it that day.
See, again, so you heard it from the newspaper and the TV. You read it from the newspaper that she takes medicine?
Dude.
Oh, she does?
Yes.
Okay, and you know that for a fact because it was printed in the paper?
There you go.
Okay, all right. Again, we have another person that has formulated their opinion about what was based off the media. Now, Siohvaughn, I'm going to ask you straight up, is this true? Because everybody needs to realize, contrary to what you or how you believe things are, Real Talk with Kietta is going to tell you how things really are.
You say this: the court-appointed forensic psychiatrist did not deem you mentally unstable.
Right.
So with that being said, what do you have to say about the perception that people have of Siohvaughn Funches Wade?
Well, more so than the perception, I would like to address the source of it. I do believe that it's come from Mr. Wade.
Okay.
And I know that Mr. Wade is in no position himself, educationally, mentally, to diagnose me with anything or assess me psychologically. I would be very surprised if Mr. Wade could spell the word psychological, let alone diagnose me with something. So I don't spend my time worrying about that. If I took the time to address each and every criticism or accusation that he made towards me or that they released to the press, I wouldn't have had time to constructively build and help my children. I was too busy transferring my children back and forth to therapy and to school and sitting down doing homework with them and consoling them, and taking them to the doctors when they almost drowned in the pool. I had real serious things going on in my life, and I just didn't have time to sit and play that media game with him.
Well, just for the record, and let it be clear, you have never been on medication for any type of mental illness?
I don't have any type of mental illness. I don't take any type of psychological drugs or anything like that. And there was a forensic psychiatrist that was involved.
And she agreed, and she said that you didn't have any mental illness.
And she also said that the children should be with me, their mom.
Yes,
and I don't believe that woman, being a neutral party, as experienced and as qualified as she is, would have deemed me insane and then said, send the children with her. It just simply wouldn't have happened.
Okay. Now, Siohvaughn, in the paper it reads that you've been represented by 12 different lawyers from 6 different firms. Is there a particular reason as to why you have went through so many attorneys?
Yeah, there's a few reasons.
Okay.
One of them is I had co-counsel almost the entire time. I had a lawyer working with me from the very beginning, Dewayne Marcus, and she was basically doing it by herself. So there was always another law firm that was utilized to help her be co-counsel in this case. There's obviously a lot of issues litigated in this case, as you can see. So we always had help. But Miss Marcus, her husband died, And shortly after, Mr. Wade sued her. It was a lot, you know. There was another set of lawyers that I had, and he sued them. And so they didn't work for me anymore. There was another lawyer I had, unfortunately, that even had to ask the appellate court to give more time to respond because she was dealing and fighting cancer while representing me. There's many things that have caused, you know, me to have different lawyers and different law offices. There are attorneys that felt the things that were being done to both myself and the children were very unjust and even corrupt, and they got off the case. So there's several reasons why.
I have a copy right here of a stop payment that was made for a check that was given to you from Dewayne Wade. This was dated back in October of last year. Why was this check stopped?
I'm not certain why it was stopped, but I know that that was the only money I was given for the month. And I know that I didn't have enough money at that time as well to pay my bills. And so, you know, I incurred late fees, and I was fighting so that things wouldn't get reported to the credit bureau, and, you know, things like that, that it wouldn't happen what happened with my car. You know, I didn't want it to be where I was in another position where a vehicle of mine or something was being threatened to be repossessed. I'm not certain why, you know, he stopped payment on the check. I just know that my bank alerted me and told me that I had a fee that I had to pay because that check had bounced. Somebody had stopped the payment and I tried to cash it.
In March of 2011, Siohvaughn, after this ugly court battle, after you were painted in the media as a villain, as an unstable person, which, of course, I don't have to refute it. The forensic psychiatrist already deemed that, and we all know that, and your family knows, and everybody who knows you know that's not the case. But unfortunately, this is how you were painted. Dewayne was granted custody in 2011. Now, did this come as a total surprise to you?
Yes, it did. I think that I was very disappointed, which means I must have had some sort of faith in what's supposed to be the justice system. Justice is supposed to be blind, which means when I walked in the courtroom, they weren't supposed to see an NBA star and a gold medalist and then, oh yeah, and the wife. You know, it's supposed to be blind. And if justice is blind, they wouldn't have been able to see anybody. They would have just justly ruled, you know. And so I was very surprised at that, you know, to have those sort of people come and testify on my behalf, to have doctors, you know, involved and speak about the abuse, to have the forensic psychiatrist say that, you know, Mr. Fist is real. Zaire didn't make that up. His dad has punched him in his chest before. You know,
I also read a transcript from his stepmother. His stepmother also stated that she knows Mr. Fist because Dewayne's father used Mr. Fist with them. I mean, so it's documented that Mr. Fist is real, yet he was still given custody. What was the judge's name that gave Dewayne custody of the children?
Her name is Renee Goldfarb.
Okay. What was the judge's name that actually granted Dewayne temporary possession of the children back in 2010?
Judge Faye Fernandez.
Okay. We're going to speak more about this when we get back. We'll talk with Kietta.